You're listening to the Achievement Mastery Podcast, the show where ambition meets action and high performers come to break through limits, scale big dreams, and master their success. Hosted by performance coach and achievement strategist Lajos Kovac, a trusted guide to driven entrepreneurs and growth-minded leaders across Europe and beyond. Each episode delivers powerful conversations with world-class experts, visionary entrepreneurs, and unstoppable changemakers, designed to fuel your mindset, your momentum, and your mission. If you're ready to rise above the noise and unlock your next level, you're in the right place. This is the Achievement Mastery Podcast.
Welcome back to the Achievement Mastery Podcast, where we bring you real stories, expert insights, and transformative ideas from high-achieving entrepreneurs, coaches, and innovators. Today, I'm joined by Rok Slama, a dynamic sales strategist and the CEO of Innovative Solutions. Rok is a true master of helping businesses define and execute tailored sales strategies that not only attract their ideal clients, but also accelerate business growth through meaningful conversations and smart targeting. He's someone who has not only mastered the art of asking the right questions, but also built his success from the ground up after facing rock bottom multiple times. If you've ever felt stuck trying to sell your product or wondered why your outreach isn't landing the way you hoped, this episode is for you. Rok also generously shares a free e-booklet on how to network with anyone and offers a free discovery call on his website. No sign up required. That's the kind of value and transparency he brings to his work and to today's conversation. Rok, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alash.
Rok, you specialize in crafting sales strategies for businesses. For those new to this, how would you define a great sales strategy?
That's a great question to start with. And thank you for your description of me. Probably you've said it better than I could. So you found many information that I forgot about them. And thank you for sharing
That's part of my job, you know.
Yeah, I know. So sales strategies. The thing with sales strategies is that most entrepreneurs start by just with their idea on what they want to produce or sell or offer. And how they start usually is just, asking a few friends or family if they need their services. And they get maybe their first or one or two clients. And then they go into those services by, actually executing them. And suddenly they finish with their clients and they are now left with zero clients again. They don't get anything anymore because they didn't work on sales, because they were focused on producing or doing the job. And that's the usual problem of small entrepreneurs mainly, because they can focus on one thing at a time. Either they focus on administration or on prospecting, on selling, or on delivering. And that's why I saw an opportunity to create these tailor-made solutions, because I truly believe, and I've seen it many times, that if you focus on sales at least 20% of your time, you can get more than 80% of your overall success with sales, with getting clients. Because having a great strategy means you know what you have to repeat daily or weekly in order to get the same great results that you got the first time. But what most entrepreneurs usually do is they forget how they achieve their first success, because they're so focused on that thing that is right in front of them in that moment that they forget about the past. And suddenly they're 2-3 years into their business and they have some clients, but they don't know how to actually achieve, how to predict their sales, how to predict their future. And that's where these strategies come in. We define ideal clients, because an ideal client is not just potential client. It's not a great client. It's not the best client. It's ideal. And that's just one person out of so many that is your ideal client. And to define the ideal client, we always start with do they have the problem that you are solving? In order for that to understand that, you need to understand which problems you are solving. But we're going to talk more about that later. But first of all, ideal clients have the problems that we are solving. Because if they don't have the problem, they won't buy our solution. They don't need it. They might think about it. They might, put it away for some time later. But those clients will just take our time, our processors in our head. We're going to be thinking about them, but they won't bring us results. So the first thing is having a client that has the problem that we're solving. The second part is they need to have the fundings in order for us to be able to sell them. Because if they don't have money, they cannot afford us, and we won't get anything back. And the main thing that an entrepreneur needs to have is some money back, because money translates also to energy for the entrepreneur. Because if you're working 24 hours a day without any results, you will be dead in a month, because you will be without any energy. This is not religion. It's just, money equals energy in the way that if you get some, you also restore your energy that you put into your service, into your business. And the main thing here is to get more money back than the energy that you spend on delivering at the end of the day. And surely it won't be at the beginning, but sooner or later you can come there. And the third prerequisite for the individual is that they need to be looking for a solution. They should already start thinking about how can they solve the problem with the money they have. And when we understand that concept, then we can start defining our offers and how to get in touch with those ideal clients. Because if we find those people who have the problem, are looking for a solution, and have the money, the only thing we need to do is bump into them, and they will buy it. Everything else we do, building better relationships, asking better questions, having a better offer, will help us. But if we have all of that, but are looking for our clients at the wrong place, we will have zero clients, because nobody will know about our offer. That's why I always say, start here, defining your ideal clients, defining your strategy, and then build on your skills. Because again, most entrepreneurs don't have time for sales, because they need to deliver, they need to do administration, they need to do HR, they need to do everything by themselves. Even if they have 3, 4, 5, 7 people employed, they don't have time yet. At least until they have 10 people, then they bring in HR, they bring their sales representatives, but before that, they mostly have people who help them deliver. And that's why I think that everybody should have a sales strategy. Big companies have them, but I'm not sure why small ones never think about that.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right because this is what I also show in solopreneurs and small businesses, that they are very busy of acquiring a client. Once they have a client, they are very busy serving the client. Once they serve the client, then they don't have the next client. So then they have to start a cycle again. They have to start chasing the next client, and then they serve the client. And yeah, but why do so many entrepreneurs and small business owners skip this step, what you talked about? And what does it cost them?
For what I see, why we became business owners is because we had a great idea. We had a great gadget, maybe, I don't know, maybe a deodorant or something that we thought of, we want to give to the world. And the thing is that when we think about our product, our business, we think about the delivery part, about satisfied customers, how we want to help them solve their problems. But what we forget is we need to produce those services or products. We need to have some systems in the background. We need to have sales. And when we begin, we don't have any of those. We don't have any skills. We don't have any knowledge, and we don't have any network even. And we need to do all of those things at the same time. But the only thing that brings us money in is when we actually solve the thing. And because I said at the beginning, you start with your friends and family, you get some degree of results usually. You think, oh, I know it all. I know everything I need to know about, how to market our product. But that's not it. Usually, the second wave is when you start learning, and the second wave usually brings zero income. And that's when people actually start thinking about sales. The second part about why don't they know much about sales, why don't they think about them, is because of this misconception about what sales are. Most people think that selling means forcing somebody to choose something that they don't need, so they will lose their money and somebody will get rich out of it. And that may be true in some occasions. And there are a lot of companies out there that, yeah, they do those things. And it's not right, but we cannot change those companies yet, maybe. But what we can do is think about why we think our products and services are actually helping people. And if they are helping people, then selling our products and services means helping people, changing their lives for the better. Because at the end of the day, nobody will ever buy something that they think they don't need. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, I bought many things that I never used. Sure, that's true. We did buy a lot of things we never used. But in the moment when we made the transaction, we thought that we are solving one of our problems. And sometimes the problem that we are solving by buying the thing is because we're afraid to say no to the person who is selling us the offer. And that's our problem. It's not their problem. If we cannot say no, it's our problem. So because I don't want to, I don't want to put you in that situation of saying, of telling you no, and then you're going to be sad and everything. Oh, I'm going to buy it. No, it doesn't matter. It's just 100 euros or something. Yeah, but you bought it because you solved your own problem. They didn't sell it to you. You bought it. And it's always, we are buying the thing. Nobody will take our credit card. Well, some phishing sites will, but mostly people won't take our credit card and just put a pin in it and they will get our money. No, we need to do that. So it's always our choice to buy. And that's what I want to teach entrepreneurs is that sales aren't forcing anybody to do anything. Sales are just helping them decide whether what they're hearing will help them improve their lives for the better. And at the same time, whenever they buy, their thought is that the money they're spending is worth less than the thing that they're buying. If that is not true, they will never buy. Probably you never bought something that you thought that it's not worth the money that you're paying. We always put a scale and think, okay, the benefits that we get, the money that I'm spending, is the money at least slightly lower than the benefits? If it is, I'm buying it. If it's not, I'm not buying. I will rather say no than buying it. And that's why this misconception of about what sales are and what I want to teach entrepreneurs is to really think about sales is actually helping people make their life better with our product or some other products because a great salesman will never sell something that they don't need. They will solve a problem by selling something that they need, whether it's his thing or some other thing. And that's the best salesperson in the world.
Wow, very well said. Thank you so much. And yeah, you're absolutely right about, having bad experience about sales. For many people, I think, including myself, if I remember back in the days, salespeople were associated with someone who talks a lot. And we have a saying in my country, we have a saying, and they talk a hole into your stomach. This is, the people that are talking, they just talk, talk, talk until you get tired of them and you buy the stuff they are selling, even if you don't need it. Just make them stop talking. And that's why I really love that when you say that sales is not about talking or talking is bad for sales. So can you explain what you mean by this?
Years ago, we had enough processing memory that we were able to actually listen to more information than right now, because there was less information overall. We craved information. It was something that it filled our day, talking to somebody. So 30, 40, 50 years ago, salespeople who talked were actually helping other people fill their day. They were eager to listen to some new things, new stories. The world changed with social media and the news and everything. We're already so filled with information that we cannot handle anything more unless it has some meaning for us. But we will never start listening in advance. We don't listen to our friends sometimes because we're on our phone. While being with them, we're on our phone, filling our heads. We don't listen to our spouses. I know I'm struggling with it, but I'm still learning and I'm getting better and better. But we're not listening because we're filled with everything, unless we care about it. And how do we start to care about this? If we hear something that is meaningful to us. But as I said, we won't start listening at the beginning. We will start listening when it's meaningful. And we always prefer to talk ourselves. And what happens here is if we get asked a question, we are triggered to answer. But if the question is meaningful, we will start actually listening more. That's what I'm trying to teach entrepreneurs, is asking the right questions at the right time in order to get attention, in order to open their mind, to open their focus toward us, toward what we can say to them, what we can bring in their life. And then what usually people do is they may be asked the right question the first time, but then they go into the talking mode again because they have this, the best thing in the world. We have our best product. It does this and that and that and that. And we dive into it so much that we forget to listen. We forget to watch their mimics, their face, their hands, their gestures. Because if we did that, we would know whether they're thinking of buying or not. That's why it's much easier to ask the right questions and just listen to their answer, because if we have the right thing for them, they will sell it to themselves without us saying anything. For example, I don't know, this bottled water. I could just tell you, hey, great, look, I have a great bottle of water which will help you with your dehydration. And you would say, so what? I don't need it right now. I don't feel thirsty. Okay, great. In the other example, I could say, look, have you ever thought about what would happen if you would be thirsty and left without any water? Oh, that would be bad. Okay, so what do you think you could do in order for that not to happen? Well, I could probably buy a water. Okay, and where do you think you could buy water? Oh, I would need to walk now for those 2 miles and reach that market and buy some water. Okay, are you willing to do those 2 miles? Well, I'm not right in the mood because I don't need it right now. Okay, what would happen if I would tell you that I have some water with me and I could sell it to you for as cheap as in the market? Oh, that would be great. Okay, so what would you need in order to buy that water? Well, just show me the water. So I was just asking questions, and he was giving me the right answers. And that's how better sales work, because we're just helping them. We could be also direct. There isn't just one formula for better sales. There's many ways. We can even do some talking, but again, it's much easier with questions because now there's this buyer's remorse thing, which will happen when they're forced into buying. They think they are forced. And many entrepreneurs are afraid of that. Many entrepreneurs are afraid that they're going to call them back and ask for their money back. But when you ask questions, you detach yourself from the result because you just want to understand their life, their point of view, their needs, and whether they need it or not. And if they say, yeah, I think I would like to buy that water. Okay, so here it is. That's it. That's the only sentence that I had to use, actually. Everything else was questions. But if I do it that way, They won't call me back. They won't call me back saying, "Oh, you forced me to buy that." No, I never forced you. I just asked you questions. And you responded, you said that you need water, and I just happen to have it. I just happen to sell it. Yeah, sure. I am asking the questions that I want to hear answers to, but at the same time, I'm starting with, your problem, not mine. If on this first question about whether you're not thirsty or you never think about being thirsty, you would answer, no, I don't care about that. You're not my ideal client. I won't sell you anything. I don't want to sell you anything because you're not my ideal client. And thus, I will need much more time, much more effort, much more energy to get some degree of energy back, maybe. And that's why I'm always talking about ideal clients. Those are the ones who answer the questions correctly.
Thank you very much for clarifying all this. How I interpret this is the salespeople who talk a lot, who talk a hole into your stomach, they are mostly the ones that try to sell something that you might not need. They might not look for a long-term relationship with a client or a sustainable relationship with a client. They just want to sell as many something as possible, even if it's useless, or even if sometimes it's associated with these crooked salespeople selling him sometimes some scams or whatever. And how I can interpret this, what you say, is the salespeople who ask questions and really try to determine your exact wants and needs are the ones that are trying to build a long-term relationship and trying to help their clients. Is that correct? Do I understand it correctly?
Yeah, that's the world I would like to see. People who do what they do because they believe that they are solving the right problems. That's why I usually choose my clients. I try to work with those who actually have a great service, a great product. It doesn't have to be the best, but at least trying to be the best and trying to really solve a problem that is crucial, that is meaningful, that would help the world being a better place. They should have great values, compatible with me, because if they are like that, then they will easily learn these things because they just don't know them. And they are already afraid of sales. So they just need somebody to make them understand that selling means helping people. And most of my clients, when I just give them this perspective of what sales actually is to me, they become much more calm and they get better results without actually knowing much more than they did before. Just their thinking about sales is different now. They don't think that they're forcing anybody, but they're thinking that they're helping somebody. And that's the shift that I want to see first. Only then we can start learning new skills. And also the second part here is that I usually don't work with clients for years, like some of the coaches do, because most programs that you will see on the internet or with other coaches is they will need to work with you for a year, two, three. Why? First thing is that because they need to teach you to manipulate, which takes quite a lot of time. They need to also teach you different values. The second part is they want to earn more. They want to get as much from you as they can, because yeah, sure, you will get some results, maybe even great results, but sometimes I see that people still struggle with their inner self, with their inner world, because they still believe that they are forcing somebody to actually buy it. And those entrepreneurs, sooner or later, they lose their energy anyway because their feelings are not right. They feel guilty about growing. And what happens when we feel the guilt? We are stressed and we get sick. So long term, manipulating somebody to buy, it will affect us unless our values are different. If our values are, toward wealth and Ferraris and owning great things without caring about others, then sure, you will have a nice life. And if you're like that, that's great. But if you really care about yourself, your surroundings, your family, business, your everything, then you should learn on how to actually do your business in a way that helps the environment, the people, and yourself so you can live with less stress than right now. Stress-free doesn't exist probably, but if we can reduce some stress, then that's great. And I see that with my teachings, people do have less stress. But I remember there was a coach that she called me once and she really needed results. And she was really afraid of selling. She didn't know how to do it. And she had this perspective that she's not worth it, that she doesn't want anybody to choose her, even though she does think that she has a great product. And when we shifted that, I think she surpassed her own goals in just 2 weeks. She did more in those 2 weeks than the whole year before. She was barely surviving. And now she was able to live just because the change of perspective.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing this with us. Is there a difference, according to your experience, between clients in different geographical locations? I mean, in terms of their thoughts and their behavior towards sales. And what I mean by that, for example, you live in Slovenia, I live in Hungary. In these former Soviet or socialist countries, what I see is people have a different relationship with money, with wealth building, with entrepreneurship, because we've been taught differently than, for example, in Western Europe or America, where they have, I don't know, 50 years, 100 years advantage of being an entrepreneur, sort of building wealth through generations. Whereas for us, I could say that it's still quite a new thing. We've been doing this for not more than 30, 35 years. And most people still have these inner blocks, these limiting beliefs about building wealth is something bad, or it blocks them from achieving the success they wish for. Can you confirm this, or it's not true?
I cannot speak for everybody because I haven't been to all the countries in the world. And I also, in some countries that I've been in, I didn't go there for work, so I cannot confirm everything. But from what I see is, yeah, there are different mentalities, different beliefs that we take from some space that we live in. And that's why usually when people go abroad and start selling their things in a different country, what they usually do is they try to learn their way of thinking and their methodologies on how to sell them more. But here's the funny part. By knowing how to ask questions, you actually don't need to learn anything new going anywhere else. Because even though you can come to a country where you don't know anybody and you don't know anything about them, you can ask them, well, tell me, what's your belief on sales? What do you believe about this product? What do you believe about money? You can ask them. People like to answer questions. Surely you will find some people who don't, but most people like to talk about themselves. And I think that's a general thing all over the world. And that's why if you just ask questions, you will find ways to reach them. Because in order to teach them about how you can help them, you need to reach them. You need to build better relationships. And I think that building relationships works in every country. It doesn't matter whether it's US, Russia, Middle East, wherever you go, building relationships. How to build relationships is different in those countries. Because, for example, I've been to America, and there everybody is happy. They're happy to meet you. They always give you the attention, and you think that, oh, they like me and they will buy it from me. But no, they won't. They don't trust you. They make you feel good with them, but they don't trust you. You need to build trust. And trust is built with, actions and time. Like, I like here what Alex Hormozy says. You can build trust by promising a lot, delivering even more, by out delivering your own promises. That's how you build trust. And you can do that in an hour, in a minute or in many days. And that's what also BNI teaches us, right? Visibility, credibility, profitability. The credibility part is so important. Many don't think even about visibility, but credibility is the most important thing. And I think that that's again general for all the world. But yes, selling something pricey, it's easier in a country that is rich and that it's developed in a business way than in a poorer country. That's why you need to think about whether your products or services are even fit for some countries, because you cannot go there expecting, you cannot go in a poor country expecting to sell them something for €1,000 or dollars and actually survive. Because for them, €1,000 means maybe a monthly salary. But if you go to the US, to certain states, €1,000 is just like, I don't know, 10% of their salary. So you will need much less energy to sell it in the Western country here, in this case, than going to that poor country. That's why I try to build the right strategy with my clients. Understanding where our ideal clients are means spending less time, less energy on acquiring them. I had a client, she was let's say, a finance coach. She helped people build their wealth. And she came to me saying, Rok, I've been doing 3 Facebook lives per week. I've been sending emails out, and I've been posting 5 times a week. So I'm spending half of my working hours just by being on Facebook, and I don't have any results. I asked how much is any. She said, I have 0 clients in a year. And I said, okay, then let's do an analysis. Tell me about your ideal clients. Let's define gender, age, and everything, location, their beliefs, their activities. Do they have a family or not? Do they have a degree? What's their financial status and everything? And after she gave me quite a lot of information, I checked everything. I looked at her and I said, is this you? Is this person that you're targeting you? And she said, yeah, I'm my ideal client. And I said, great. Then I have an amazing question for you. Tell me, when you stop working, when you finish your, let's say, 8-hour working day, how much time do you spend on Facebook? Oh, I don't have time for Facebook after that. I'm with my kids, driving them around from school to activities. And I said, but you defined your ideal client that does all the same things that you do, and you're trying to reach them over Facebook. She was like, that doesn't sound right. I said, yeah, but you were doing that for a whole year and you never questioned whether your clients are actually on Facebook. Because also them, when they stop working, and usually if they have a job right now, they don't have time for Facebook while on the job. So when they come home, they also don't have time for Facebook. So you were targeting the wrong people.
If you're enjoying this conversation and learning something new, don't forget to subscribe to the Achievement Mastery podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your favorite podcast platform. New episodes drop every other week, featuring insights from remarkable entrepreneurs just like Rok. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like the video and leave us a comment with your biggest takeaway so far. Wow, that's an amazing story. Thank you so much. I was about to ask something, like that, but you preceded this. Thank you so much. You shared that with me, that you crashed to zero a couple of times in your life. So what were those low points like, and how did you climb back?
When I first entered business, it was about 15 years ago. I started with direct marketing, an MLM, the easiest way to explain it. And that was the first time that I actually thought about I can change my life the way I want it. Because I was growing in a family where we had enough. I had everything I needed, but not everything I wanted. And I was raised up believing that we are fairly poor. Not the poorest, but we don't have enough. Other people have more money. Money doesn't grow on trees. And the funny part was that when I turned 18, my mom gave me a bank card with quite a lot of money on it. And that's the first time I realized that we actually had money. Just my mom she had a different way of doing finances, which is great because I owe it to her that we now have a safety net all the time, most of the time, let's say. And that I was able to also start with my business back in the days. So 15 years ago, I met this MLM and I went all in. It was the first time that somebody showed me that, you can have anything in life you want if you do the right thing. And that MLM was amazing. I still think that was one of the best ideas I've ever heard of. I had some degree of success. For me back then, that was amazing success, earning 10,000 in just a few months on the beginning. For me, that was, oh, I can live with that money for years. Nowadays, it's different, but back then, that was a lot to me. And that success happened just because of my mindset. I had zero skills at selling. I had zero skills at connecting with people. I had zero connections with people. I was an introvert. I was really, before starting that business, I never thought about my future. I thought that I'm going to find a job and, that's it. That's life. And never think about it. I didn't know many people, but the business showed me a promise of a better future, of I can have something that now I don't have and I want to have some safety for my future so that I can quit work and, be on vacation for the next 50 years. That was my belief back then. That I want to reach pension within my 30th year. Back then, I thought that was my whole life going to be. Something along the way with that business changed because they changed the whole structure, they changed the whole commission, and they changed their values. So suddenly, I was left with an idea that I had about this company and what it should be, but everything changed to the degree that I would have to go back to 10,000 people that I already recruited and explain them the same thing again because they changed it so much. So I did all that job for nothing. I lost everything basically through night. They didn't care. They just changed the system, get new recruits, and that's it. For me, that was a lot. That was a lot to take in, and I was afraid of believing somebody else's product or service again to the degree of me selling it. So I actually started hating sales. One thing, because I became good at it. And I still remember my last meeting for that company. The person was begging me to start working with me because he was so excited. While on the other hand, I already knew about the changes, and I was like, no, please go home and think about it. Look, really, I see that you want to do it, but go home, think about it, sleep over, and maybe come back. And when he called back, I never responded because I was afraid. I was afraid that I'm gonna take his money and then he will not succeed because the new system, I didn't believe in it anymore. And that's when I came to a new gap in my life. It was quite a few years where I didn't actually know what I want to do. I was good at selling, great at selling, but I was afraid. And I closed myself down and I was afraid to even try because I was afraid of letting people down. Because what happened with those 10,000 people, or let's say I knew 3,000 of them, but what happened with them was they never called the company why they changed. They called me why the company changed the system. And they were expecting me to help them get their money back or whatever, even though it wasn't me that changed the things. Before that, everything worked out. I got my money back 30 times over and over again. They didn't because they were, let's say, too late, or most of them didn't do the job. Most of them actually didn't take their phone and make 10 calls even. I did thousands of calls in that time. I had more than 3,000 one-on-one meetings just in those first years. And that fear actually prevented me from doing anything meaningful. I did do some projects here and there, went into graphic design, went into website design, social media, stuff like that. And I always had enough, but I never wanted to let myself lose again. to put out something by me because I was afraid I'm gonna again be the bad guy who sold something that it's not working. And what changed was when I finally started feeling that I'm ready to let go. But then other two things came out: procrastination and the imposter syndrome, which is what most, for example, coaches have, and also some solopreneurs. The imposter syndrome means that you don't feel worthy of doing the thing that you want to do and getting the money for it. You think that you are not worth enough, that you don't know how to do that good enough. So you just usually procrastinate because of that and don't do the things. You say that you want to do it, you say that you're motivated to do it, but at the end of the day, you come into office and just scroll on Facebook, watch Netflix whole day, and think about how you should do it. And by night, when you go into bed, your brain thinks about, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do it. Tomorrow I'm going to do all those things. But then when you come back to the office, that imposter syndrome comes out, and you see, okay, I'm not ready right now. I will do it tomorrow. And it's a loop that it's really hard to come out of. And what helped me was actually that when I decided, okay, now I need to change something, and I'm willing to pay a great price for it. And I actually paid a great price for it, 5-digit numbers, for a course where I took a coach who should help me develop my own system for selling my coaching. And the funny part was that I didn't learn anything new. And I'm not saying that bad. She was great. She had great knowledge. But what I got from that course was understanding that I paid somebody 5 digits in order to confirm that I have enough knowledge. And that's when something shifted in me. And I finally understood I'm worth 5 digits or more because I know the same amount of things as this coach did. And the next day, there was no procrastination anymore, and there was no doubt. I just started doing. I did my own sales strategy, which was the hardest part at the end of the day. Sitting with myself down and going through all the questions and answering them correctly, not just putting down the first answer. No, really diving deep into it. That was, I think, the hardest thing that I had to do. Then I went out. I used BNI a lot. I did a lot of one-on-ones because networking to me is one of the best ways to actually get clients, because that way I can get the feeling of somebody before actually making the offer. So I know who I'm working with in advance. I see who the person is, and I know that whether we clicked or not. Because we also need that feeling when, especially in the coaching industry, we need to field our clients. Otherwise, there will be some gap in between, and they won't be as satisfied as they should be. We won't be as satisfied, and there will be something wrong usually. That's why I like networking, and I like getting clients through networking. But that's just me. Everybody is different, and everybody needs their own system. That gap really felt deep. I wouldn't say that I was bankrupt, even though there was one time I had another coach. He was my, let's say, life coach, NLP coach, whatever. And he taught me how to work more when you need it, because I was procrastinating a lot. I remember €3.14 on my account, nothing in my pocket. And I came to him asking him for directions. And he was already observing me for some time. And on one point, he decided to actually help me. And he asked me, give me your card. And I gave him my bank card. He took the scissors and he cut it in half. And he said, now pay the bills without asking anybody for any money directly. Don't ask for loans. Don't ask for money. Do something. And he gave me such amazing power in that moment, because I knew that I had to succeed. I had to do something now. Before that, there was always that safety line that I mentioned before, my mom, my family. And in that moment, there was no safety line. I couldn't, get to my account even if I could, I couldn't. And I was unable to reach her, because to go from Ljubljana to the seaside where my mom is, I needed at least €10 of gas. So I had 3 euros and 14 cents unpaid bills, and I needed to sell something. I don't remember what was the thing I sold. I think it was some graphic design, but yeah, I acquired my first client within 3 days, and the next one within 1 week. So yeah, sometimes you can beat procrastination, but just by forcing yourself going bankrupt. But I would suggest not to do that. I would suggest to find your calling, find your purpose, and to start believing in yourself, because if I can do it, I know that everybody can do it. I was no good at sales. I was no good at communication, no good at coaching. I learned. I learned by doing it. And at the beginning, everybody thinks that, oh, I sound phony, I sound unsincere. Yeah, when you're learning sales, when you're learning communication, at the beginning, you sound like a robot. Sure, that's normal. But by repeating it daily, you will become authentic, and nobody will hear anything phony about it, because they will just look at you and say, oh, you know how to ask great questions, you know how to listen, you know how to help me. Thank you. And that's what I would suggest to most people who struggle with learning new things, is just try it again and again and again. Try it 100 times and then say, no, I won't do it again. Sure, okay. After 100 try, maybe you can think about not doing it anymore. But until you tried it 100 times, cold calling 100 times, don't stop, because you can do it.
Thank you very much for sharing this touching story with us. I think many people can relate because these problems exist. I think in many people's head, because the problem usually exists in our heads, and it's not a strategy issue, it's not a system issue. It's way deeper than that. It's a mindset issue. It's an identity issue. Like you said, when you signed up to the course, they didn't tell you anything new because you already knew everything that was said on that course. You just had to realize that. And that was already probably worth it when you realize that, geez, I already do this. I just have to do it, right? So that was the point. And I don't know how you feel right now, but most likely it was still worth it because the realization was worth it. And here comes the rapid fire question section of this show. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions now. The first one, what's one book that changed your mindset?
The book that changed my mindset. My favorite book of all time is Celestine Prophecy from Donald Dale Walsh, which helped me a lot in the times of need, in times of depression. But in terms of communication, the book that I most recommend is How to Influence and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, which I think is the best book that will give you some perspective on what it means to build relationships and why it's good to listen and to ask questions instead of just talking. The funny part is I haven't read it. I just listened to the audiobook a few times. That's why I can't say it's the book that I devoured, but the audiobook was really daily motivation for me back in the days when I was still learning. And even now, sometimes I try to remember and go back to just listen to a few tips and tricks, because I really think that building better relationships will help not just sales, the whole world.
I think listening audiobooks is fairly common these days, so you can call them books. Yeah. The next question is, what's one daily ritual or habit you swear by?
Eating and drinking.
And breathing, yes.
Yeah, breathing. The thing is, maybe I'm unconventional right now. I tried having routines for quite a lot of time while I was still struggling with myself, with being productive, with the procrastination part. Right now, I don't have any daily routine. Maybe the closest to having a routine is whenever I think that I have to do something, I don't have any book or any program to write down my to-dos. I just open up Viber, which has a list section, and I type it in. Many times I forget to even check what I need to do. But just by doing that, it clears my mind and I can be in the moment. I can be on a sale, I can be with my family, I can be with my friends, I can be on, I don't know, playing football without thinking about what I need to do tomorrow. And Viber is something that I have with me all the time. And it can be any other program, it doesn't matter. But I know that all those things like Asana, Jira, whatever you're using for your to-dos, for your tasks, to me, they are too much. Viber is something that I'm using anyway to chat with people. So I just open a different chat and that's it. And I put inside my to-dos. And sooner or later, I'm going to go back and see what I forgot, and I will do it later if I didn't already do it.
Nice. Thank you so much. My third question is, what's the best advice you've ever received as an entrepreneur?
I'm still thinking about what was the best advice, but how I usually try to learn from others is by listening to their stories, is by asking them a lot of questions and modeling them on what I like. That's how I learned sales and public speaking. I was watching and analyzing those people who were living the life that I wanted, and I was trying to understand what they're doing differently than other people. And what I did was the next time I had an opportunity, I tried to do the same thing. I still remember my first speech that I gave. It was a presentation of that system. Suddenly I was called in on and I had to do the whole presentation, but I heard it 50 times already, or even 100. I'm not sure because I was all the time into it. So what I did was just I imagined being that person and imagining me delivering it the same way. But yeah, meanwhile I remember the best advice was I'm not sure what's the English term for it, but he's an entrepreneur from Slovenia, a young one, really active, really inspiring to many. And I asked him how he manages to shift his focus so many times during the day and without leaving anything undone or open. And he said that his secret is actually cognitive closing. Not sure if that's the right term, but whenever he stops doing something, he just forgets about it. He lets it go and clear his mind and is now already in the focus of his next thing. Even if it's a problematic thing, even if it's, I don't know, he needed to fire somebody and he had a stressful talk with that person. As soon as he ended, he just imagines how he lets go the thing and the other focus comes back. And now he's in the zone again without thinking about what happened just now. And when he told me that, he actually gave me permission to skip things, to not be thinking about problems anymore, but to focus on the next thing in front of me, or to focus on my family when I'm with them. That's one of the biggest challenges in my life, probably. Being with the family while with them and working while working, not thinking about the other thing when doing the second. And that thing really helped me a lot because, like I said, it's kind of like I had permission to actually be focused on one thing at a time and forget about all the rest. Because if he can do it and getting success means that, okay, that works. And now I've been using it for a few years already, and it helped me a lot, really.
Rok, thank you for sharing your journey, your wisdom, and your no-nonsense approach to sales and business growth. Your transparency and practical advice are truly empowering, and I'm sure our listeners will walk away with actionable insights they can implement today. For those who want to learn more, visit Rok Slama's website. Everything is in the show notes, so where you can download Rok's free networking guide and even book a free discovery call directly. And to everyone tuning in, if this episode gave you the value, be sure to follow the podcast, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Until next time, keep striving, keep growing, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you, Rok, for coming.
Thank you also to you, Lash, and thank you for everybody who's listening here. I really wish you all the best with your business, with your life, and if you need help, just ask me or somebody else because people like to help.